Welcome to another Lightning Strikes Twice. And we have one topic apiece, 5 minutes to talk about whatever it is, and go.
Okay, so what do you think about private space stations and colonies?
Oh, geez. Um, is this already a thing, or is this like in plans?
Well, it's mostly planned at this stage. I
Right.
mean, there's been private space probes and things like that, but essentially one of the things is that kind of like like an orbiting space hotel kind of
Huh.
thing.
Geez. I I don't see like why we need to commercialize space yet, uh, or or at all really. Like, why can't we just like leave it be? Like let it be what it is in nature. Like, to even consider space as part of nature is like a cool dynamic. Like,
Yeah.
to expand our definition of what nature is beyond the earth.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, I think it's helpful for if you could do basically space tourism and see the Earth from space, like that changes people like in a
mhm,
big way. Like your perspective is like completely altered forever
mhm.
in a good way. Um, and so the more people that could do that, and obviously at first it's going to be really expensive, but the more it happens, the cheaper it's going to get. Just like aircraft, like flying, right, in airplanes.
I feel like it would get so complicated though, because all the governments on Earth are going to be like, how can we tax this? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and and of course, like, it's also very limited to who could even uh, pioneer that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very very limited. So you're talking about like space monopolies now.
Maybe, yeah. Well, it would be no different than aircraft. The development of aircraft. It used to be very expensive to fly, and now it's like people fly all the time. Sometimes they
It's
fly for
still
free.
very expensive.
Well, yeah, but it depends. It depends on how far you're going and what airline you're on and what time of year you're flying or day or whatever.
Hmm.
But it is achievable. The average person can get a plane ticket to go from one place to another, whereas you know before it was people dressed up to fly. It was like they put on their Sunday best, and I think space travel will be the same way. Initially, it's going to be really expensive and kind of like maybe not the best, but over time it will get better and better. I think it's important though that there be some kind of mutual agreement between everybody somehow
Yeah.
that like to take care of space, right? Like I think what you're saying that it's an extension of our environment, and everybody is affected by it, every human being.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that as a world we need to kind of agree to a certain standard, right? Like
Right.
if there's
Like,
a
we've talked extensively about space junk, but the other thing to think about is like just the pollution of of our existing, um I don't know, like, the best word for this, but like, the way we do things here on Earth shouldn't necessarily extend out into space. Like, I think we need to open our minds and think outside the box for how to conduct things off the planet. Like,
well in this
commerce, all of that stuff should totally be handled in a whole other way, like
well
a
the thing is,
separated, completely different way.
and I do agree, like because the way things are going, the way things are done on Earth is fairly established and entrenched, and it's like
Hmm.
trying to change that would be difficult, but it's really easy when we're not already living in
Right.
space to kind of
There,
set
this
a
is
standard
that
for it.
opportunity, right?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
draw a hard line and say, well, anything that happens up here, we're doing it this way.
yeah,
And,
yeah, I
like,
agree.
try something new, have a new experiment. Um,
Well, and there should
and
be
if that
room.
experiment's going sideways, it's not so bad to erase it all and start with something else. Like,
Well, yeah, and that's
but
the thing. Like we share the planet together, but of course there's conflicts in that regard. But space is not yet established, right? So maybe this is the
There should be
time.
no borders, no
No,
borders at all.
no, not at all. And like you're yeah, this is the opportunity to kind of build that in advance
And
before we start getting there, because we will get there.
that
It's
is
inevitable.
also part of the problem I have with it is the word private. Like, I think it should all be public space.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh, that's
oh,
time. No, that's a pretty good
I
mic
was
drop.
about to say communism.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is public space, but private ventures within a public space is kind of what I'm talking about. That, like,
Mhm.
and I
But
think
but
there's
that
room.
that that builds this like feeling of ownership and
Yeah,
borders. Like it's a border of its own, is what
it
I
is, and
wanted to say.
that's pretty hard to in the vacuum of space to have that.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, we definitely need to establish some ground rules, because I think we all got to get along up there, just like we got to get along down here. And good luck getting that taken care of, because of like all of human history is standing underneath us. So it's your turn now.
thought I had something to say, but I forgot. Oh well, the bell went off anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll get around to it in a future episode, I think.
okay, so a little bit of current events, philosophy, perhaps, but it's been something I wanted to talk about for quite some time, and it just popped back up into the news a little bit.
Mhm.
And that is, do you think it was all that bad what JK Rowling said about the trans community?
I honestly don't think so. I mean, I think we should be free to speak our mind, however offensive it may be to other people, or like if you don't like something or disagree with something like that's fine. That's the opinion you have about that. Just like pineapple on pizza, that people go to war over that. Well, online they do. Not in real life usually, as far as I know. But so what? Yeah, that's that person's opinion of that thing, and if you disagree with it, if you think they're wrong, then have a conversation. Don't try to cancel them. Like,
Right. And I just, she gets labeled as transphobic.
mm-mm.
And I feel like just be careful with words that you're using. Just like, you're coming down on someone for using their words in a haphazard way that isn't necessarily easily understood correctly, obviously.
Well,
But
it comes with sort of a connotation with it, like there, there's an inherent understanding of the meaning when you say something. If you say like Nazi or racist or transphobic or whatever, I mean, people jump to a particular threshold in their conclusion of what they think. And it's like, what she said wasn't transphobic at all. She wasn't like,
I'm
just
trying to find the exact quote, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But I think it was something like um, about like how they look or something. Like, oh, they don't look quite right or something like that. I don't remember. It was something along those lines, I think. And
yeah,
it's like, okay, that might be like a dick thing to say, maybe, but it's nowhere in there is she saying like they don't deserve to have rights
exactly.
or you should,
They're not human or
like
something.
beat them up on the street when you see them or anything like that. Like there was no call to action. There was no sense of superiority over another person
Nope.
or another, sexuality or whatever. It was just like kind of like a tongue-in-cheek comical like tweet, I think, even.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Like,
that actually goes into something that I kind of want to discuss, like the Scotland's new hate crime law, which ties
mm-hmm.
into this kind of to an extent, where like
Oh wow.
essentially the police there are required to respond to any complaint of like a hate crime, which is broadly defined as you'd expect. There's no specificity,
Oh
um,
God.
and they're overwhelmed. Like the, since that came into like actuality, they're basically like flooded with tons and tons of all these calls they have to respond to, and they're already short staffed and underfunded, and they're required to put that as a priority over other crimes. So like they
Oh
basically
geez.
can't respond to regular crimes like the standard ones.
God. I
Yeah,
cannot keep up with all the people calling each other cunt.
yeah, exactly. Oh, it's just yeah, but it's ludicrous. Like think about it. What the hell? Yeah, that whole
But
thing.
I mean with JK Rowling though, it's like this is another cancel culture problem.
Yeah.
Like just treating her art as if it is somehow like an extension of this opinion that you've basically plastered on her. Like she didn't even say it was like her opinion.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually like I'm totally on her side because she's under attack, and
Mm-hmm.
everything she's saying, like recently she came out and she was like, I would never forgive Harry Potter and Hermione, I forget their real names right now,
Mm-hmm.
for speaking out against me. And it's like, good. I would say the same. And then everyone's like, well, they're not going to apologize because they shouldn't have to. And it's like, shut the fuck up.
You
Like,
got to stand up for yourself at some point and not
yeah,
kowtow to the whims of the moment, you know,
yeah.
like because it is just a fad in essence.
If
Like,
you don't fight against it, the wrong side wins. You know, like
mm-hmm.
you have to fight to like keep your place in society. Like Johnny Depp went to court and basically was vindicated in the eyes of the public because the truth came out about like basically there was a woman just like, oh man,
Well,
was that really 5 minutes?
yeah, I know that went fast. Well, I think the important
It
thing
cut
is
me off and it made me sound like I hate women, but I wasn't going to say anything like
no, no, but that's the thing is like we need to defend people's right to say what they believe, even if we think it's wrong,
yeah,
even if we think it's offensive. Like the way to combat things like that, if you think
right,
someone's wrong or if you think they're being an asshole, is to have a conversation.
yeah.
Like, you know, give their mind a little bit of illumination, right?
I really wish Daryl Davis would come on the show,
Oh, that'd be amazing.
or like another good uh, person like that a little bit is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even
Mm.
like people like threw eggs at him, and somebody interviewed him, and they were like, "What do you think about that?" He's like, "Ah, that's what you get with this country. You're allowed to express your opinion, and I love that. I may not agree with him, but I'm glad he's able to do that here. Like
Exactly,
he
because if
comes from Austria. Like it is really, really conservative in Austria.
oh yeah,
Like,
well, I mean, if we don't defend even the people we disagree with right to express themselves, eventually it's going to come back on us,
yeah,
right? Like the winds of change turn that. I love that song. Oh man, the Scorpions, dude. Well, anyway, that we rattled on long enough, I think there,
yeah.
but that was good. That was a good
All
one.
right. Well, that was the whole episode. Damn, that was too short.
Definitely.
All right. Well, keep your eyes peeled. There might be a full episode about one or all of these topics, and we'll see you next week.